Good day, everyone. This is Shantanu Ganguly, CEO at Strategink, and today it's my privilege to welcome all of you in this very exciting and an insightful webinar. Uh, Approximately an hour we'll spend together with all of you and a bunch of eminent experts on this theme, simplifying healthcare and life sciences operations with AI native networking. So thank you again for joining us. I'll just set a little context before bringing in our expert speakers for the benefit of all of us. Uh, we all live in an AI native world today. I think that needs no explanation. We being from the technology field, we are fully aware of how AI is sort of reshaping every spheres of our professional and personal lives. In that context, I'll just summarize maybe three things. Number one, as leaders of the technology and then business, uh, we have enterprise IT ecosystem that is distributed across the data center, the edge, and the cloud, right? So workloads are distributed across these three different, hosting models or arrangements. The second development I would want to highlight is how AI-powered processing units like GPUs or TPUs and the whole revolution around large language models, LLMs, are transforming industries. I think that again is very active almost in every organization in terms of a lot of work happening in that space. Now, with these two sort of points in context, what happens to the interconnecting network, right? So a network that connects cloud, edge, and data center, a network that's uh, suddenly seeing a burst of traffic in terms of large language model queries, where it needs to uh, sort of cater to the demands of intensive LLM training, rapid inferencing of analysis, and drive AI job completion in the shortest possible time, right? So parameters like bandwidth, latency, network performance, newer intelligence in the network powered by AI, which enhances reliability, which simplifies manageability, which reinforces resilience. All this are considerations in our mind when we think of AI native network in context of this kind of a AI native world or a digital world that we live in today. Having said that, let me welcome with a lot of gratitude for very eminent experts in the panel discussion. That's part one of our webinar. Uh, in no order of priority, maybe the way I see on screen, I'll just go seeing the faces on the screen. Arvind Sivaramakrishnan, CTO, Asia Healthcare Holdings, Rajiv Sikka, Head of Information Technology, Medanta, the Medicity Hospital, Kinjal Saxena, Chief Product and Technology Officer, AIG Hospitals. I think Kinjal is based out of Hyderabad, Arvind in Bangalore, Rajiv Ji in Gurgaon, Delhi NCR. And last but not the least, the expert SME from Juniper Networks, Ravinder Singh, Country Director, Enterprise and Government, Indian SARC Juniper Networks. So four very eminent experts. Welcome to this panel discussion, and the panel discussion is on the webinar theme itself, which is simplifying healthcare and life sciences operations with AI native network. So maybe I'll start with a little outside in the point of view, probing the CIOs quickly before coming to Ravinder. Uh, and maybe Rajiv here, I'll go with you first. Uh, in context of healthcare life sciences business that each of you lead as technology leaders, uh, what crucial role does the network play today, and what's the relevance of networks?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Honored to be part of this. See, when we talk about network in any enterprise and so in the healthcare, for me, it is basic IP telephony, internet, LAN, MPLS, Wi-Fi. So basically, all of these assets ensure that right information reaches to the right clinician at the right time in a secure, reliable, and faster manner. That's the meaning of network for me. So I'm not talking about router, cables. Basically, these are the core nervous system of the hospital. And I'll elaborate as we move forward. But for me, they are not simple IT assets. They are clinical enabler, in short.
Excellent. Thanks. Kinjal, your point of view, you want to add anything to what Rajiv has said?
Uh, First of all, Shantanu ji, thank you so much for having me on this esteemed panel. Uh, Rajiv ji is 200% correct. Uh, in my opinion, it is just like air. You cannot speak in vacuum. You cannot communicate in vacuum if you take the air out of the room. So network is as simple as air. It is that important for the and existence of any digital media. So I'll summarize it to that level.
Awesome. That air and vacuum chronology is very, very interesting. Arvind, I'll bring you in now, and maybe I'll add a layer before I open it up for you. You have a chain of hospitals that transcends across countries. It is across different or multi-country sort of healthcare setup that you and your team leads. So, in that context, how important is the network, and what are some of the key expectations from the network?
So if you look at the healthcare delivery, the consumer expectation is healthcare is omnipresent, present whenever we want, wherever we want, however we want. That means that it has to be accessible and it has to be available. Now, in order to do all of this, the backbone and the nervous center is indeed the network. So making sure that that network is able to cater to all formats of digital delivery. The traditional format of electronic delivery to the very modern available omni-channel. All of it, if it has to be effectively delivered, and in healthcare, making sure that it is delivered with that level of quality and reliability. All of this can be done only when the network is pristine, and rightly as pointed out, if the network is thought of like air and oxygen that is literally taken for granted for life to exist. That's what network means to the technology backbone of health delivery.
Excellent. Thank you. Ravinder, I'll come to you next. And again, I'll add one data point for you to sort of share insights with our audience. I was reading, and this is in one of Juniper's white paper itself, that about a third of global data volume is healthcare data. And this is close to 36% of all data is healthcare data in various forms and shape. And that data necessarily travels or communicates or is transported through diverse mechanisms of network. So that's the critical importance of data in context of healthcare life sciences and the network that transports and interprets. So how is Juniper transforming sort of and empowering modern day healthcare life sciences with the networks? Tell us your story.
Yeah, thank you, Shantanu, and my pleasure to be part of this panel, interacting with esteemed customers, who bring such a value in our business, in the interactions, and especially in the leading the transformation of the healthcare industry. In my 30 years journey, the way in the last 5 years, everything is transforming in a very big way. But as a human being, one thing what we can relate very closely is with the network, is with the health, right? Before we do anything, I think it is the health what matters, and so that data is extremely critical. And our quest as a human being is to get more data from the body, so that we can know the health of the body as such, and treat that accordingly, what it takes. That's what the our leading panelists here and their organization, they are enabling their organization to do it more effectively. From the Juniper point of view, as kind of mentioned by the panelist as well, that network is the foundation. We can call it the backbone What it means primarily at the very broad level is about a certain experience what a hospital or a healthcare industry wants to give it to the patients, wants to give it to the doctors, the operational people in the hospital, so that they can deliver the effective experience to further to the patients and the users. So that is where the network kind of brings that experience alive. So the imagination starts from an application. It may start from building a certain operative flow in a hospital, for example. But to make that real, network plays a foundational role or an unseen role, right? What we call, so I relate network with the human body here, that you have a mind and you have a thoughts and ideas, and you want to make them real. What do? You basically want to have a healthy and effective body to really execute the thoughts which you have in mind, right? So the body is like a network, right? So our mission and vision is to make the, what do you say about the very healthy body? A healthy body is when you don't feel you have a body. You are so immersed in the work and in the life that you don't feel the body, because the moment you start feeling the body, that means that part of the body is not healthy, right? Because then that I have a hand which is paining. So same as network. If our mission is to make the network invisible, so that the customer does not feel there's a network. You have an application, and the users are really happy getting their experience from an application. Because the moment there's a problem, they feel, oh, where is the network or where is something else? So broadly, I'll sum it up at the very broad level, is that our mission is to really make it as effective as it can be, so that it is not seen, while using it in the hospital industry.
Thank you. Thanks for summing it up so very crisply. And I know we have, after the panel, Juniper keynote where some of these, I would say, latest innovations from Juniper is being covered by our next speaker, Rajesh Kumar. So we'll definitely wait to go through some of those details. Coming to the AI part, right? So, AI plays a integral role today in everything that we do in context of business. So maybe, Kinjal, if I may start this round together with you and seek to understand how you see, because you wear two hats. You are innovating on the product side. I'm sure some of those, cutting edge new product innovations are being led leveraging AI. And of course, as the chief technology officer, application of technology in context of healthcare, service delivery, and patient care, so on and so forth. Tell us a bit about how do you see the impact of AI in both these roles or hats that you carry?
Sure. So artificial intelligence is transforming the entire healthcare industry because of two reasons, and I'll just make it very simplistic to explain. See, when it comes to tertiary care hospitals like AI hospitals or Vedantas or Apollos of the world, they always have the high-tech technology available, and they all high-tech technology come with their own respective support systems as well, right? Like an MRI or a CT scan machine. But access to those hospitals is only limited to hardly 15 to 20% of the country's population. You have to understand 75% of the country's population live in tier 3 cities, districts, towns, or villages. 75%. I'm talking about 100 crore people plus. They do not have access to these advanced facilities. But they also get as sick as any person from the tier 1 town, tier 1 city, right? So now what happens? In order to provide access of healthcare to these people who are there in villages and towns and cities, where using a normal X-ray, using a normal blood test, somebody can identify at least at a screening level where, hey, X person is having, some high level of liver disease. Please go and check in some better institute. That is where the revolution in healthcare will come, because now you are making the referral system extremely strong. A person who is not even showing any symptoms in 1 month suddenly develops a metastatic cancer. And that is something that we at tertiary care hospitals see almost every day, right? If we can bring in artificial intelligence to highlight such people, screen such people, and give them at least 6 months, 1 year of heads up so that they can come and see a right doctor at the right time, I think that's when the whole revolution will come. That's where I see. Obviously, there are many things like improving hospital efficiencies, etc., etc. But if you have to ask me one most important thing, I think early screening of chronic diseases at rural and town level is something where AI will be needle mover.
Thank you. Very, very important point when it comes to especially about 100 crore plus population. I would say that's a big number. Uh, Rajiv ji, you want to go next and share your experiences around AI leverage in context of
Sure. I think I'll build on what Kinjal said. Uh, See, India is also not just the diabetic capital, but also the TB capital of the world. We have 27% of the world TB population in India. So this 27%, how we know that how Indian stats are. So this is definitely more than that. But let's talk about WHO reported number, 27% of the, and one TB case, if not detected at the right time in 4 years, because it's a communicable disease, can lead to roughly 24,000 odd TB cases in 3 years. That's the multiplier effect which a TB patient can have if undetected. Now, what's happening is that TB screening, he took an example of screening. Screening and diagnosis are two different methods. TB screening can easily be done by X-ray. Now, advantage of X-ray is that it's minimum invasive, it's no invasive. It's very economical. It can be done precisely in 30 seconds. Uh, but only disadvantage is that you don't have radiologists to read the TB X-rays. So and we run India largest TB-free program in the country. In this TB-free program, what we do is that we send vans to different districts. These are the districts or villages which are like where people don't have addresses. The subjects which come for screening with the help of local volunteers are mainly daily wages worker. So what used to happen is that when the X-ray is done and we used to send it to, take a WhatsApp photo, send it to the radiologist back in the hospital. By the time result comes, most of the subjects are flown. They are not around because they are daily wages worker. For them to detect TB versus earn 400 rupees of daily wage, I think answer is simple. So we realized that this is not happening. So we came out with a mechanism by which, and other challenge was that there was no connectivity. So it is not possible for me to put up a dongle and have the, X-ray coming, the scan coming from the X-ray modality, go to the cloud, get a report done, nothing of that sort. So we build a AI box in the van itself along with the modality. It's a hardwired AI box. And as soon as the X-ray comes, within 30 seconds of X-ray coming out from the modality, a report is also there saying that whether the patient has or the subject has TB or not. This is definitely screening. And after that, multiple sputum tests and other tests followed, which are approved by the government of India. They are well-defined protocols. So in last 5 years, especially after COVID, not even one single X-ray is read by human. All X-rays. I'm saying not 55, 95, 99.9%. I'm saying 100%. 100% X-rays. And I'm not talking of 1000 X-rays. These are 6 vans which goes in one single. They go for 4 days in a week. In one single round, there are 200 odd subjects which comes. So you multiply all of these numbers. I'm talking of roughly 70, 80,000 odd X-ray being done. And not even one single X-ray is read by human eye. It by radiologist. It tells you 1 or 0. And that's what Kinzel is talking about. See, this AI is not for larger hospitals. This is for all those remote areas where we have general physicians standing on one foot, you know, treating everything from head to toe. Here an ophthalmologist doesn't need any, he can read your eyes and say that you have a DR, diabetic retina. But there, just imagine that guy, he'll click your photograph of the eye retina, and within 1 minute, he knows that whether you have DR or not. So this is for the help or assistant to those kind of doctors who are in the rural public. And that's the meaning of affordable and accessible, which we talked about or you talked about. And that's the dream of Mahatma Gandhi to ensure that healthcare reaches to the remotest corner in affordable fashion. And that's where I think tech is bringing that gap or fulfilling that gap.
Brilliant, brilliant. Very, very powerful example. Thank you so much for bringing it to the forefront of our audience. Arvind, what would be? I'm sure you have something which is equally interesting. Please, time is yours.
If you look at it in terms of one is bringing healthcare to everybody. But then the fact of the matter is that you have to bring healthcare also at the same level of quality that it is perceived that it is there in the city. To what Kinjal and Rajiv were saying, there is a perception that it is there in the city and the other parts are not there. So this is where you're using technology. This is where you're using seeing data. And you mentioned that 1/3 of the data is healthcare data. Of course, yes, we are data rich, but we are extremely insights poor. We are not reading what our data is telling us, and that is exactly why we are losing patients who maybe are presenting symptoms, but we are not catching it, and sadly we are losing them in less than a month of a potential detection where we could have actually put our data to better use. So the use of data for decision making, again, you can call it AI, ML, and all that, which is the larger buzzwords. But look at it in terms of healthcare. These are structured protocols and pathways that is guided by the data for effective evidence-based decision making that provides a consistency of care. And when this consistency of care is powered with what Raji was mentioning, that no X-rays read by without an AI and all of that, when there is this consistency that is powered by technology, is democratized. This is kind of where you are looking at technology playing that. And in this conversation, geography has no place. Because you democratize, there is quality, there is surety of the nature of service, it is evidence-based, and indeed you are taking into account the knowledge deficiencies that we have. The knowledge deficiencies that we have is in terms of the skill of the clinical, the non-clinical, the administrative, everybody put in healthcare terms. The lack of that is now the pain of that is reduced by reinforcing with technology. And that means that we can cater to a larger breadth of the population of the land rather than just concentrating them on a few centers where we have economic thriving and thereby we call them cities or metros or something like that. The whole aspect of economics and geography is removed when you look at data talking towards insights. And that's really the root of AI. And that's where healthcare hugely benefits. We are probably scraping the surface of this iceberg. But I think even in this itself, we have achieved so many delightful outcomes that going deep into this is a definite surety of getting us good healthcare for everybody who needs it. And God willing, now we will have providing that at cost that is matching the economy of the land. So you got everything there. You don't have anything to lose. So I think we need to really get going on this, and there is a huge power, and it's proven. It's no longer a concept, it's proven at scale.
I was just thinking of the word scale, and you sort of ended your note with that. So, Ravinder, coming to you, how is having heard these, three very powerful stories from the three CIOs, how is Juniper AI making a difference and impact? And specifically, I see again certain keywords in, explaining Juniper's strength, which is around, connections, data, and integration. So, LS Juniper's AI story.
So Shantanu, it's so wonderfully explained or articulated by all three CIOs about the challenges that we see in a country like India. Scale is the one word. The scale of challenges, the scale of operations, and even if when I say city, the big cities or the big hospitals or the best hospitals, right? Like we have in the city like Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore. We see that the doctors are overloaded, with the number of patients, what they are seeing in a day. And so the quality there, whether the doctor is able to effectively listen, understand, and treat and the follow up with the given patient, that's a big question to everyone, I'm saying. Second, when you scale to the hospital which are in the tier 2 cities, the whole quality changes, right? And when you go to the villages, it's a different world altogether, right? Uh, so country like India is like we can immensely benefit, where the technology is emerging. These are still the initial stages. We are seeing the glimpse of brilliance, happening in certain areas of operation. But I'm extremely confident the way it is said here that how to make the doctor effective so that he is able to make a very efficient operation in treating the patient, identifying it early, making it proactive, not just a reactive that we are seeing it when everything is kind of beyond treatable. So network is at a stage where similar stage, we have an expansion happening. We have a number of devices which are kind of exploding everywhere. So the way the doctor is overwhelmed, even the CIO office, the person who is handling technology to enable the nurses, administrators, and doctors, they're also overwhelmed. The way to deliver the scale, deliver the quality of service for every connection, that the hospital requires. The quality of that connection, whether the user is getting the required QoS or not. So that's where the AI is coming handy now, especially with the Juniper, the way we have evolved in the last 5 years, 5 to 7 years, the way our devices are trained on the given data. Today we are able to deliver, as we stand today, a very proactive level of an experience to the CIO office, wherein they know that where the challenge lies. At the outset, I think the awareness is the first part. The technology is at a stage where they are fully aware about the network, what is happening where. Like Arvind mentioned, I think about the data, but there is too much of a data, right? After a while, you reach a stage of a false positive or a false negative, right? Whichever way you see that. Now at that stage, how technology brings the intelligence, especially the AI part, that is very transformative. That is where it's almost like a magical engagement, with the network, and the CIO is fully aware. Okay, this is my posture of the network today, and this is what I'm ready to deliver to my users. So he can very confidently answer to the board, to the management, and to the users, about the way the network is and the way the network should or can be used, right? That is where we have reached. It's almost magical, I must say that, and almost transformative. So the network is meeting the AI, and this cross section of this part is very transformative. We can deliver a very optimized operation at a very big scale, right? Scale is not the limitation. With the limited skill set, that is there with the CIO team, right? It is not that if you're expanding the number of hospitals and there's an architecture pan India, you require as many number of people. A less number of people with the effective AI driven architecture, a CIO office can very effectively manage today the challenges what they're looking at, to address the user requirements.
Excellent. I think that truly helps sort of putting on ground and implement the right uh, intelligent AI-powered technology to uh, achieve the outcomes that the CIOs or the healthcare system at large is trying to sort of achieve. Having, I think, covered two beautiful rounds of conversation, maybe in the concluding round, I'll start with Arvind first, and in this round, I think I'll go to each of the leaders, seeking their thoughts as to how do they foresee the future in the respective sort of domain and context. So, uh, how, and again, maybe a couple of data points coming to my mind. Number one, India, in definitely this part of the world, if not globally, is a very cost efficient and good quality, medical treatment, or if I may call medical tourism destination, where lot of not only Indian patients but global patients come to India for very good quality, very affordable treatment for most of the complex diseases. And I'm sure each of you have a far deeper insight and stories around that. The second part, although we don't have somebody who's very directly from the pharmaceutical industry, but India is also the global pharma sort of capital of the world, right? So that power and that strength of manufacturing and drug discovery prowess that India has, and during the COVID times we have all proven to the world our might and impact on vaccination. I think these are again testimony to what we are capable of. So with this strength and power that we have, how do we see the future of healthcare life sciences evolving? Arvind first, Kinjal second, Rajiv ji third.
See, first, in terms of healthcare and life sciences, and with so much of data, and rightly as you pointed out, during the COVID time, that urgent call to action of collecting and collating all the test results enable the ability for the life sciences and the pharma sector to actually come up with a vaccine. And the data enabled them to fast track a lot of process that typically would have taken many years, and at that time we didn't have time at our disposal. That means we have proven that this is possible, and we've also proven that we have the science, the biology, the medicine, the engineering, all of it put together to actually deliver healthcare at the highest level of quality and scale. And with the variation of the genetic pattern in the South Asian subcontinent, we have the ability where this is proving to be a good way by which we can provide life sciences, pharma, and clinical care to the rest of the world, in terms of not just the pharma, but also now going into the clinical side, the techniques, and thereby evolving that into better technology enabled clinical processes such as robotics, where with the ability of the data, we are able to train the algorithms. The training the algorithms enables the clinician, and enabling the clinician gets to better outcomes, and that better outcomes at lower infection rates, clearly lower blood loss. That means that lower length of stays. Lower length of stays logically reduces the cost, and thereby you start the patient getting into a speed to a wellness plan in an accelerated manner. So all of this is happening with data playing at various fronts. So the entire spectrum of pharma, life sciences, the payer side and the provider side of healthcare stands to benefit very positively out of it. And overall, the economy of the country is bound to have a better, more delightful growth pattern. That growth pattern is able to service countries all around us, and that means that it becomes a thriving economy, and a thriving economy with actually citizens who are keeping good health. So I see data powering the whole sector in a very positive manner, and that's kind of how I'm seeing healthcare and life sciences use various aspects of AI and decision making into all parts of the economy.
Thank you. And thanks, Arvind, for speaking it out together. Kinjal, you want to add something?
Sure. Arvindji has beautifully covered different use cases. So I'll just add a different perspective to it. See, we at India, we have built a world-class product we all call UPI. Do you know why India was able to build this? Very simple. I mean, why some US company did not build it? Why maybe someone in Europe did not build it? It was because of only two very basic reasons. Number one, we had the power of whether it is data, whether it is network, whether it is people. But most importantly, it was the need. If you put US and Europe together, they never needed UPI as much as India needed it because of our cash economy. Like this, in the similar fashion as Arvindji stated, the use cases are the need of the hour for the country. And that is why we will rush for it. We will look for the options. Now, when we will look for the options, three things come up. Data. We have immense data. We have a lot of data. Agreed. It's not probably as structured as possible, as needed, but it is still there. The second thing is engineer. We are the exporters of software development in the world. As you rightly said, not just pharma, but technology, we are the exporters of the world. We're top. Nobody can beat us in software engineering. So we have the talent as well. And most importantly, the regulation. The regulation at this moment is quite favorable for us to do experimentation of artificial intelligence. And that is why every single aspect that Arvindji mentioned will be possible. The only thing is we definitely need the right partners, right people to collaborate. Large hospitals, large companies to collaborate together and build something really, really great. I'm seriously positive that we might have the next UPI like product in AI in healthcare available from India.
Rajiv, your concluding remarks on how do you see the future evolving?
Sure. So sometimes when you are the last one in the concluding response, you are better off because earlier partners have covered each and everything. Maybe Ravinder, you can add from the Juniper perspective, but you mentioned future. Okay, so there is one thing which is very clear, and even Gartner and lot of other papers talk about heavy usage of information or data used in the healthcare, and so that's beyond doubt. So what AI is capable of processing this huge data for sure. Now, what humans are for full of passion, full of care part, full of heal part. So the combination of these two will define the future of healthcare, in my view. So what it means is that there is no man versus AI in healthcare. It is both of them. So medicines will be powered by both as we move forward in the future. So this is the given, and I'm not talking of 10 years, 15 years from the now, the way AI is progressing, we'll see it very soon. The other part, Shantanu, which I strongly believe is going to happen, is that, we talked about use cases, Tinjal talked about. See, what's happening is that uh, diagnostic sciences also has its own limitation. I'll take one simple example because otherwise it will be theoretical discussion. Lung cancer, is very, very difficult to detect. And when it get detected in either stage 2 or stage 3 or stage 4, chances of survival are relatively very, very less compared to the other cancers. Now, with the kind of polluted city in which we live, or the kind of patients we have, the TB, the typhoid, we have all have those kind of patients. It's very, very difficult to find out uh, early cancer detection. Now with the help of a simple chest X-ray, which is you can get it for 500 rupees, you 1 sub-centimeter square of any lesion or spot in the lung, that X-ray can tell you using AI that there is a probability. Just imagine that if that lung cancer detection happens in stage 3, you have only 14% survival rate versus stage 1, where it is more than 85%. So AI in all these kind of situation is going to be the ineffective tool. Now there are two things which will happen in the future since talked about. First of all, there is no doubt AI has to be part of healthcare. Uh, Either it will be used as a tool. If it is getting used as a tool, then you will definitely gain efficiency. But once it becomes part of the operating fabric of the healthcare ecosystem, that's where the major transformation will happen. That's where, health for all at affordable level, at accessible level will reach the dreams of our freedom fighters, the founders of the nation. And that's where the future, I think, strongly lies for the country and for the, humanity as a whole.
Fantastic. Very powerful conclusion. Ravinder, coming to you, tell us a bit from a technology and networking technology standpoint. How does the future?
So, Shantanu, I think it's my honor that I'm here and listening to all the experts. I can clearly say that to start with, if I have to sum up the future in one word, it's absolutely self-healing, right? You have a network which is completely proactive. Performance is given, quality is given, and the self-healing part, automated and self-healing, right? That is where we see the future of the network is as required by the business and the users, right? Today we have reached, and you will be surprised to know that, and many of the CIOs knows this. We have covered a considerable ground, in that journey, in that vision. It is almost feeling real now, and we see a glimpse of that in various use cases where we are fully aware about what is happening in the network. We have a single pane of glass architecture where end to end the data is seen by the CIO from the client to the cloud. How the network is visible, the health of the network, what is required by the application at the various link and the various stages as the packet flow happens, right? That is what is seen today. Today we have reached a stage where the trouble tickets from the network has come down by 94% or 95% plus, as on record confirmed by the global CIOs, right? And we can talk to the network, wherein a CIO comes to the office and a coffee cup technology, what we call it, they can interact with the network about, what is the state of the network. We have the agents which have become part of the network inside, who are like the resident engineer, of a remote router sitting in some village. A CIO sitting in Delhi would know that each and every area of that, how the network is behaving. He can talk to the network and find out, okay, tell me how, which hospital doctors are facing an issue on the performance on the network. So that interaction can happen now today as I'm speaking, right? And as we have the security posture as well, on demand, the way the number of elements are emerging, they will know that which are the policies which are effective in the last 6 months to 1 year, which they have deployed, but they are running very effectively or not running very effectively. So that data is there is a good aid coming today to the CIO about taking those effective decisions, which today they are taking, and tomorrow they can, at their choice, would enable the network to take the decision on its own. And the future is not very far away. And the reason the AI is also dismantling the existing leaders of the industry, right? And why Juniper has become the leaders of leaders in the last 3 to 5 years is because we have an in-house control of the software, which is the operating system, and the chips, which is the hardware. And the way we have trained the entire AI on our devices, because we know, very well that the outcome of the AI is as good as the data is, right? If it's a bad data, bad training, the AI will be bad, right? So we being for last 30 years that Juniper has spent in the industry with a good control on the hardware and software, I will pick an equivalent of an Apple, the experience what they are able to give on their phones. Similar, Juniper is able to lead in the AI world because of this reason as compared to the competitors. And that's the reason suddenly in the last 3 to 5 years, we have emerged leaders of the leaders by a big margin in the Gartner's quadrant. So I want to reassure the CIOs and all the audience, who have come here, and thank you for joining in at this point of time. But you can confidently plan the network of next decade with all the challenges what you face in the network, with the Juniper technology as a foundation for the campus, for the WAN, and for the data centers. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. And the AI native or AI powered network for the next decade. I think that's the signing note, Ravinder Singh. Thank you so much. Thanks to Rajiv, Arvind, Kinjal, Ravinder for that wonderful panel discussion. Thanks for your time. Very, very deep insights shared. To our audience, please don't go away. We have a very interesting next session coming up. Rajesh Kumar, Technology Head, Enterprise and Government, Indian SAR Juniper Networks is with us. Rajesh, thank you for joining us today. Rajesh is ready to share his keynote on how he sees how Juniper is sort of truly empowering AI native networking in the space of healthcare and life sciences. So Rajesh, over to you.
Thank you, Santanu. And before I'll just share my screen. Is it visible? Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes,
Someone
very
say
much. Very much.
thank you. So, first of all, thank you so much. And it is a privilege that I was there for this to hear this panelists, esteemed panelists talking about how the healthcare is shaping up and actually how AI is making a lot of inroads into this healthcare as a solution, right? So, when I heard panelists talking about network is like a nervous system, right? When we look at the nervous system and the high-tech networks, it is very, very complex. So what we are doing from Juniper perspective is how we can simplify this, right? Bringing AI into the networking space. So there are two things which I just wanted to highlight here. Is one is when the network becomes the backbone for any of the healthcare, because today right information reaching at the right time for the right doctor or the right ICU or operation theater or for the nurse is very important. So how we can use AI for those kind of solutions which we can provide. And the second is when healthcare is coming up with a lot of AI, what they spoke about, right? Like taking in a van, as doing an X-ray, getting the reports without even human intervention. Then we call that as a networking for AI. That means the GPUs or whatever the transactions it needs to do with so much of data and get the results in a faster way. Then it needs a network on the back end, right? So for both the reasons, network becomes the backbone, network becomes the nervous system. But I just wanted to say one thing. When Kinjal sir said that it's air, what we do one thing is network is air, but what we do one thing is we try to measure the quality of the air, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. That is from the network perspective. So I just wanted to say that that is what we do using our AI, right? So moving further, what I wanted to just say is this is some of the pressing challenges, because today what we see is that the nurses actually, the wheelchairs, the infusion pumps, the oxygen cylinders, to identify at the critical times is becoming very difficult, right? So they are somewhere but they don't know where it is, and there is a critical situation coming up, and how do we identify and find the location and get it to the right place at the right time. So there is also a lot and you only said that, Santanu, that one third of the data is healthcare data. So there are a lot of breaches happening, and how to secure the data is also very important. This is one of the challenges what we see in healthcare, security of data, because this is personal health data and there is huge data. There is a lot of data which is used for AI. So how do we secure it? And the third is that the even the nurses, you see that there are a lot of things which are happening in the hospital. When we enter the hospital, it is not the same we used to enter last 10 years back. Today it's such a huge hospitals. The patients and the inpatients or the outpatients who are coming in, they doesn't know exactly where to go, right? For scanning, for x-rays, for outpatients, inpatients, there is so much of confusion inside the hospitals. So there is a lot of nurses who can has to guide them, take care of them, tell them where to go. So is there any way that we can build such kind of apps in hospitals for healthcare, where the way finding kind of a solution, or identifying the doctors when in a critical situation and tell them where to come. So these are some of the things which are pressing challenges, and also sustainability is becoming one of the key challenges. So looking from that perspective, what we have done is from Juniper is we have created a solution known as a AI native solution for healthcare, where we deliver a reliable wireless and a wired network. That means to say that if you if in a hospital, if there are any patients, guests, doctors, whoever wants to access this, there should be an experience seen from the user perspective, right? Today what is happening is that when we look at this, as rightly said, that where the right information has to come there, but that requires a lot of experience. So network is a backbone, but how this network is functioning for the users is very important in the healthcare, because the time and the information is very critical. So how do we deliver that is by our reliable wireless and wired network using our AI based solutions. The second what we do is a lot of discussion were happening in terms of for the tier 2 and the villages connectivity, right? In one of the events I was presenting this healthcare, there one of the doctors told me that Rajesh, that when we do this Teams call or a Zoom call or whatever to the tier 2 or the villages, listening to the patients, if the connectivity is not good, my diagnosis may go wrong. Correct? Because I may not hear completely what the patient wanted to tell me. So the diagnosis may go wrong. So they want to have that log of the entire call, so that tomorrow if there is anything wrong, they can run that and show that we couldn't hear properly. So some of this diagnosis which happens in the connectivity issues. So you need to have a reliable WAN connectivity, so that there is no disruption in video and audio on a real time applications. That is more critical. And the third is the security. Right, today, as we spoke about so much, the healthcare requires end to end security. It is just not at the data level, but it should be at the user level, it should be at the device level, it should be also at the entire infrastructure level. So the creating that kind of end to end security is also very critical. But all this comes with performance, all this should come with experience, and all this should come with critical information reaching at the critical time is very important. So this is where Juniper talks about, where we have a lot of use cases which we have built for healthcare, right? Our solution of wireless has a lot of BLE technologies inbuilt into our access points. That means to say that we have hardware based BLE antennas. So what we can do is we can completely give a indoor navigation of the hospital, like where to go to x-ray, where to go for CTI scan. So we can create a wayfinding map, so that when the patients come in, they just connect to the Bluetooth, get the app, and they can go by themselves to all these places, get the CTA scan done, x-ray done, go to the outpatient, get the doctor in place, and then come out. So this is one of the key things which we are seeing as one of the key use cases in the healthcare when the hospitals are growing big. And the second what we are looking at is the identification and giving notification to the doctors at the critical point of time. This is very important. And the third what we are doing is, when they get the notification of about a critical patient, can they get the information immediately while they are coming from third floor to first floor to meet the patient, so that they get few details about that patient about their complete details, right? So if that information reaches, then the diagnosis, faster diagnosis, and that comes into place. So what we are doing is, we are trying to do this kind of lot of BLE technologies which we are using to provide this kind of use cases, where they can get this as a solution to the complete problems. And the second what we are doing is, since I have 15 minutes, the second what we are doing is that the data is very critical, and the data has to reside on prem for any of the healthcare. So the private cloud or an on prem solution is very important. So we build data centers both for having data being secured inside the data center, as well as we build data centers which are ready for AI cluster. That means if any healthcare hospitals are doing projects on AI, trying to get a lot of data, trying to do a lot of transactions, trying to get that results. So the network what is required on the back end for the data centers, we have that solutions which we are providing it with completely AI based solution, wherein you can do zero touch provisioning, you can do faster rollout of services, and you can get the results in a low latency and a high performance kind of solutions, both for enterprise data center as well as for AI based data centers. So the campus networks for the healthcare, the data centers for the enterprise, for the data what they use regularly, and for building the AI as a solution for the entire healthcare solutions, right? And the third point, because I'm only covering one point, because if the people who are looking at this wants to have more deep dive, we can come and present to them. So I am presenting one, how the healthcare campus can be built, how the data centers is built by Juniper, and the third is how we provide end-to-end security, right? From the user to the cloud. That means any users, any doctor, any nurse coming into the network will have complete security from wireless over the switching, over the SD-WAN, over the data center, entirely end to end. So for this entire solution, we have the entire one AI ops engine, which is known as Mavis. So this Mavis has learned around 8 years of data we have fed into this Mavis, right? From our TAC, from our problems, what we have seen in the network of the healthcare, we have fed into Mavis. Today, this Mavis is able to provide lot of details. This is what we call it as a coffee cup view. In the morning in the healthcare, when the IT operations guy comes and opens this window, he can see or she can see that there are 20 actions which needs to be taken to make the network good, right? And those 20 actions are there already in this from client to cloud. It is giving the recommendations as well. And the second, what we are doing is we are building a self-driving network. That means to say that some of the issues like radio issues, loop issues, storm issues, which we see regularly, are all being self-driven, self-healing. That means the AI itself will solve the problems without getting into the human to solve the problems. One is it gives recommendations, one is it identifies the problems, third it self drives the network and provides self healing for the network so that the experience is back to the users who are using this network. So this is one of the key things. And the second is the key point is predictive analysis. As rightly said by the panelists, that if you know before there is a issue, then the resolving that issue, that means lung cancer being 85% when it is in the stage 1 is very important. In the same way, what we do is we have something known as a digital twin. What digital twin gives you is that when the network is operational and and you want to have for a disaster, for example, there is something which happens and there are too many patients are coming into the network and there is a chaos in the hospital, then you can run this digital twin and it will let you know, it is emulating like users in the network, and it will let you know exactly how the network is going to behave when there are 200 patients or 200 users in the network, when it goes to 500 users. That means if you feel that tomorrow there will be a chaos because it's Saturday, Sunday, there are a lot of outpatients are coming in, there is a lot of health checks happening, so there will be a lot of patients coming into this hospital. Before that, you can test it out. This is a digital twin. This is a agentic AI which does the test and tells you tomorrow if there are 500 users coming into the hospital patients, there is no problems, all are perfectly fine. So now you know how this experience comes back and how the critical information reaches the doctors and how they can diagnose this properly and give the right information at the right time. So this is one of the key things what we have done using our agentic AI solution. So that is one of the key things. And this is our portfolio. I will not touch much because we have the entire portfolio to address the healthcare solutions, starting from the hardware of access points, switches, a lot of licenses which takes care of wayfinding, asset tracking, BLE technologies, right? Everything. And then also we have Marvis, which is our AI ops, completely taking care of the AI based solution, what I spoke about. And we also have ChatGPT kind of a solution where we can ask questions to the network and get the answers from the network. How is Teams call today for few doctors? Or how was the connectivity to the remote location? Right? So we can ask these questions and get the answers. And it can also do self driving and self healing and recommendations to solve those problems. So this is the complete stack, a simple stack which we provide. This is why we call it simplifying using our AI solution. So in the why, because of this, in the Gartner's quadrant of Magic Quadrant, we have been named as the topmost leader for the last 4 to 5 years in vision versus execution. And the second, what you need to see is very important, the indoor based location services. Here, no other networking OEM is there in this quadrant. It is only Juniper. Rest are the indoor based location services OEMs like Zebra, those kind of companies which are there. But this is only Juniper. That means to say the wayfinding, the BLE technologies, what we use, which is patent to Juniper, is we give you the accuracy of almost 1 meter to 2 meters. That means if the oxygen cylinder is somewhere near this location, if it is tracked, it is exactly at that location. If the doctor is in second floor, bed number 4, doctor is there at location floor number 2, bed number 4. That is the way we precisely inform what is the tracking solution, right? So some of the use cases which I wanted to put it is veteran hospitals in US. It's a 400,000 patients hospital where they treat the veterans of US Army and the defense. We have built this network for completely for this veteran hospital, having around 60,000 APs and some 30,000 switches, BLE technologies. Today they are using to the best of using all these BLE technologies, what I talked about, asset locations, asset tracking, wayfinding. Also, what we do is we integrate with the IoT systems so that if a Alzheimer guy patient goes out of certain area, the door shuts by itself. So we are tracking the patient, we are tracking the occupancy, we are tracking where he's going, and then we are also informing IoT to close the door because he's going to out of that area, right? So this is the integration we do with our solution. Tomorrow, if there is any healthcare AI which has been built, if we have to integrate with them, showing the occupancy, for example, outpatients are more, correct? Now, I can show the occupancy from my solution, and that can be related to their healthcare application where they can tell some doctors to come to the outpatients rather than serving the inpatients because outpatients are more. So this kind of interactions what we can do is what we do as an example in one of the veteran hospitals. And the second is the Senatora, where 12 hospitals over 100 sites with SD-WAN capabilities and with all this visibility. And what they wanted here is a skill set, right? They wanted the healthcare doesn't have very high skill sets. So they wanted to manage this entire network with a minimum skill set. So with our self-driving network, they were able to use a minimum skill set and still get that experience and the high uptime performance resiliency of the network in a much better way. So this is one of the key network cases. And the Ready Children's, this is also one of the huge Wi-Fi experience of 280,000 pediatric patients where they had no issues in terms of roaming. I didn't go deep down into technical because when all this is required, when doctors are moving with their iPad or the asset tracking has to be done, they are with their mobile devices, then the roaming becomes key criteria. That was one of the issues which they faced in the hospital, and we were able to solve that problem, right? And every hospital will look at wayfinding, asset tracking, that BLE technologies. So, and the faster rollout, 900 APs moved into production in 6 weeks. This is the way we deploy when we talk about healthcare solutions. So, AI native platform. So, top three strategical enterprise vertical for us. Healthcare is one of the top strategist vertical. We do a lot of innovations in the healthcare. 5 years consecutive double-digit growth in the healthcare, and 6 out of 10 largest healthcare providers are with Juniper. And some of the few trusted across India, I have just put this. There are much more which we are working, and we have deployed these solutions for them. So at the last slide, exactly I'm finishing in 15 minutes, Santana, as you given me the time. We say that making every healthcare connection count. That means to say that, as Ravinder was mentioning, every connection is very important in healthcare, and we make it count for every connection in the healthcare, whether it's a WAN connectivity, whether it's a Wi-Fi connectivity, whether it's a wide connectivity, or whether it's a data center application connectivity, or every user using this network. So with this solution of AID, what we call it for healthcare, we are the only ones who have this kind of AI ops engine with agentic AI, with a digital twin, with accuracy of 1 meter, providing all these solutions which are very, very critical and important for healthcare solutions. I leave it there and thank you. And I'll give it back to you, Sant.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Rajesh. That's truly insightful. Some of the sort of comprehensive details about your portfolio, plus what you've already done for leading healthcare institutions in terms of solving their technology problems and empowering them with, newer sort of customer or consumer facing or patient facing sort of solving capabilities. Truly commendable. For our audience, 2 more minutes we'll wrap up. There are couple of poll questions. It's coming up on your screen already. If you may want to please respond to the poll questions, and then there is a digital feedback form where we would definitely want you to leave an impression of how you felt about today's webinar. If you want us to do more of similar, or if there is a potential interest in Juniper's solution and portfolio, please do leave a mention into the feedback form there so that Juniper team can specifically get in touch with you. So poll questions, I think you see on screen. Request all our audience to just choose an answer option and scroll down. There are 3 questions only. So take all the 3 answers and submit. So I think we have given decent time for our audience to respond on the poll question. Vishnu, you may want to bring up the concluding feedback form, digital feedback form. And once our audience fills up and submits the digital feedback form, we'll come to an end to the webinar. But before we sign off through the feedback form, I can't thank enough all our speakers, namely Rajiv Sikka, Kinjal Saxena, Arvind Sivaramakrishnan, Ravinder Singh, Rajesh Kumar. And again, deep gratitude to all our distinguished audience. I know that we had I could see concurrent about 140 plus people joining in at a point in time. So collectively, this will be 150 plus. Uh, very seasoned enthusiasts and technology leaders from the healthcare or life sciences industry having joined us today to enrich this close learning session. Thank you so much. Vishnu, I still see the webinar poll on screen. Yeah, I think like it's gone now, and you may want to bring up the digital feedback form.
Feedback will be visible once audience exits the webinar, and it will be visible on their
Yes.
browser screen.
Okay, so feedback form will be
Yeah.
visible once the attendees click on sort of sign out or when they leave the webinar platform. So there will be a new screen that will pop up. Request, encourage each of you to give a feedback form impression. This is not for the speakers, it is only for the webinar attendees.